Hello everyone, how are you all? कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग? I hope you all must be having a great time. And now in this session, we are going to cover the most high yielding topic of your modern history for the upcoming prelims 2025. So in this session, the topic will be socio-religious reform movement. Right? Now this is prelim specific, guys. Right? We have to understand it in prelim specific way. So first of all, we have to see the type of PYQs which UPSC has asked till now, right? First of all, we will understand that, and by that we'll create some guideline for us to understand this particular topic, that how we have to cover SRRM, socio-religious reform movement. But before moving ahead, let me place you in the timeline that when these reforms were taking place. Okay? First of all, you understand that. This was the primarily time frame of 1800 to 1900, or if you want to put like this, 1750 to 1850 or 1900 also you can put. But why I am giving you 1750 to 1850? Because over here you must have understood one topic, that is expansion and consolidation. Who was doing the expansion in this phase? And who was consolidating their control, their rule over India? The Britishers. So this was one topic which we have already studied if you have subscribed for the crash course. If not, you must have studied on your own. This is one broad topic which you have to cover. Parallelly, because of their expansion and their consolidation, there were some resistance shown by the people. So the next topic you have studied in this time frame was same time frame in different pockets. People's resistance in the form of civil, military, peasants, tribal, right? This was one topic. And simultaneously in this timeline, certain social reformers were arising, guys. Social reformers or revivalists also you can see, because a lot of social evil was going on and people were getting enlightened. Enlightened means people were getting educated and they were fighting for the abolition of these social evils. That's how this topic is placed as SRRM. During the same time frame, you will be seeing several religious leaders will be coming. Several, not religious leaders only, but several reformer will be coming who will be fighting for the social evils, right? Now, without wasting any time, we will be seeing the PYQs. How the question is asked in a prelims throughout, like previous years, right? Let us see one by one, guys. So see these guys, in 2021, how the question has come from socio-religious leaders, social reformers. So they have asked about who among the following was associated with the secretary with a Hindu female school, which later came to be known as Bethune Females. So over here, what you will find the religious leaders or the religious reformers, right? Reformer leaders over here. Any Besant. I am not telling you the answers right now. Answers you will get after seeing these lectures. But try to understand that they are asking the organization and the reformer associated with it or the leader associated with it. Understanding reformer. That means what I am understanding from seeing this particular question is, first of all, the organization name and the leader associated with. So over here you have seen names like Annie Besant. Annie Besant is related to what? Debendranath Tagore, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Sarojini Naidu. So what we have to do? We have to prepare in such a way that we should know about the works of these reformers, guys. I am not focusing upon this. This question has already been asked. It will not be repeated again in the similar format, right? But I am preparing now these reformers. We have to prepare. Then next question, in 2021 itself, you will be seeing self-respect movement was initiated by self-respect movement. Where it was happening, who was related to it. That means B.R. Ambedkar, Jyotiba Phule, E.V. Ramaswamy Aikar, Jawaharlal Nehru related to social reforms. You have to understand. Okay, Jyotiba Phule, why he was well known in this time frame, will be understanding. What was his work, will be understanding, right? In this way, we'll be understanding the particular lecture. Over here, you see 2018 question. Who among the following happened the earliest? That means they are asking you the chronology. One question from modern history is fixed on chronological orders. right? One question is fixed, I'm telling you. So Swami Dayanand established Arya Samaj. Whatever, first of all, who was Swami Dayanand and what is he related to? Dinabandhu Mitra. Your job is to understand more about this because UPSC have already asked about these things, guys. Satyanath Tagore became the first Indian to succeed in the Indian civil services. Now, a lot of information you will be needing from the modern history, not with respect to social reform movement only. Okay, but our agenda of this class, our objective of this class is to understand the different reform movements and the associated leaders with that. Satya Sodak Samaj is related to 2016. Consider the following: these Calcutta Unitarian Indian Reform Association and KCS, Keshav Chandra Sen, is associated with. This we have to understand, guys, right? Now, from seeing these recent question, you must be understanding. Next time also they can simply give you one organization and the leader associated with it, or they can mention one leader and the work associated with it. Okay, so from here we can understand that reformer, organization, and the works of that particular reform. These three things should be in your notes. You can make the short notes out of it because ultimately long paragraphs of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Jyotiba Phule will not come in the examination. Basically, in the prelims examination, it will not come. But in the mains examination, we have a different mindset of covering this SRR. Okay, okay. Let us start the topic, guys. So first of all, first point which you should understand that what were the different factors that gave rise to reform movement, guys. This is one of the first thing which is discussed in your standard books too, which we have discussed in our books too, right? Factors. But these factors to discuss about is the topic for mains. So in mains, you will focus upon these things more, these topics, these particular headings more. But right now, just give it a reading. You never know that how UPSC is asking or how the question is coming in prelims. That's why you should go through these lines too, right? So first of all, you will be understanding that there was the spread of education. And when there was the spread of education was happening, people were learning about different cultures. People were learning about the how it is, how in West people are functioning. So see this point, because of the education, you will find, because of this modern educational institutions, you will find that new intelligentsia, learned people will be coming on forefront. Like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who will be founding Brahmo Samaj. हम सब देखेंगे अभी, ठीक है? We'll be seeing it all. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, who will be forming a Mayo. Okay, these people came forward because of their educational background. They were educated and they could think about the reform of the intellectual awakening, right? There were some political and economic factors too. You will be seeing that political factors like the rise of national sentiments and democratic ideals in the 19th century. It also encouraged movements to reform and democratize Indian society. Okay, there was economic changes too because economic policies of the British led to widespread poverty, highlighting the need for systematic economic reforms. There was the opposition to the Western culture to people who were adopting the Western culture. They were opposed by the by these people, by these reformers, and this period saw the emergence of reformist leaders and movements aimed at preserving Indian identity. Right. So all these things, all these factors, you are understanding, guys. There was depressing position of women. What you were seeing as the depressing position of women, you will be seeing that parda over there was the child marriages were happening. Okay, sati pratha was going on. Okay, infant mortality, child infant mortality was happening, or female infanticides वगैरह you were seeing, right? Religious and social evil was there. There were taboos in the religious practices of religion too. So all these factors gave rise to these reform movements. And what reform movement we are talking about? So basically, what all movements we have to understand, what all leaders we have to understand. I am letting you lay out this first. Okay, you have to understand this. Over here, first we will be understanding about Raja Ram Mohan Roy's contribution, right? Very important. Brahmo Samaj and all we will going to see. So over here you are going to see Raja Ram Mohan. Second is your, or under this, when we will be studying Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Brahmo Samaj, we will be understanding about Devendra Nath Tagore, and his contribution. Over here, Kesab Chandra Sen and his contribution. This we will cover in one go because they are associated somehow with the Brahmo Samaj only. What is Brahmo Samaj, what not, we will be understanding. Second, we will be understanding about the Prathana Samaj. Third, Prathana Samaj and leader associated with it. Okay, leaders also. Over here, Henry Vivian Dirozio. Who was he? What he contributed? Young Bengal movement. We are going to see. Very important. Then we will be understanding about very, very important Ishwar Chand विद्यासागर. ठीक है, तो यहां पर मैं मेंशन कर देता हूं आपका टाइटल, लीडर्स और रिफॉर्मर्स एंड देयर कंट्रीब्यूशन. ठीक है, दिस इज नॉट इनफ. देन फिफ्थ पॉइंट और फिफ्थ लीडर ओवर हियर यू विल बी स्टडिंग अबाउट Jyotiba Phule, very important. Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitri Bai Phule. Then we will be understanding about Ram Krishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda. All related to Ram and their contribution related to it. We are going to seventh you are going to see Arya Samaj movement, and the leader associated with him is your Dayanand Saraswat. Dayanand, very important. Okay. एड्स अब हमारे साउथ में भी कुछ मूवमेंट्स चलेंगे. ठीक है, साउथ में भी मूवमेंट्स, तो इनको भी मैं मेंशन कर देता हूँ यहाँ पर. एड्स अबाउट योर SNDP मूवमेंट, श्री नारायण गुरु धर्म परिपालना मूवमेंट, ये मैं बताऊंगा आपको. 9th सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट मूवमेंट. 10th टेम्पल एंट्री मूवमेंट. ये सारे एक दूसरे से दीज आर एसोसिएटेड विद ईच अदर गाइस. टेम्पल एंट्री मूवमेंट. Then there were some reform movements happening amongst the Muslims too. ठीक है, in Muslim religions also some reform leaders were coming forward. तो हम यहाँ पर क्या क्या देखने वाले हैं? वहाबी मूवमेंट. काम किया leaders associated with that, and देखो ultimately what they were using, what they were doing, they were reforming their culture, their religion, the social evils, right, the social practices. They were doing that, but leaders associated with that and their work is important over here. Ahmadiyya movement. Very, very important over here. Aligarh movement and the contribution of Sayyid Ahmad Khan. Then there were some Parsis social reform movement too, guys. Parsis social reform. This also will be seen, one or two organization. One is your Sikh social reform movement, also will be seeing Singh Sabha movement basically. क्या है क्या नहीं है, what is there in this to study for prelims, we will be seeing. And then there was one Theosophical Society which also contributed in India. Theosophical Society, very important, in which Annie Besant was associated. So all these 16-17 topics, less or more. Now when you will see your spectrum, the standard books, most recommended standard book, there are a lot of organization more written in short paragraphs. What you have to do is you just have to go through them too, and the leader associated with that. That's it. The organization name and the leader associated with it. I'll also show you the list which is mentioned over there. Okay, I'll be showing it to you. So let us start with the understanding of one by one. We'll be understanding these reform movements. Important. These are the utmost important which you should know from this particular chapter, guys. Right. So we'll start with Brahmo Samaj movement, and the central figure to whole of this particular social reform movement is our Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Triple R. Guys, the Raja title, he was not from the Raj Parivar or the King Parivar, right? This Raja title was given to him by Akbar II, the Mughal emperor of that particular time period. Because this Raja was given by Akbar. Why? Because at that point of time, the Mughal was declining and they were not at the good position like they were in the Aurangzeb's Akbar time period. Like it was the time period of 1800, the Mughal emperor was Akbar II, and in this time period, British East India Company was having the larger say, larger control. So in order to represent the interests of Mughal Empire, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was chosen as the representative of Mughal Empire so that he can go or he can act as an envoy, ambassador to whom the British East India Company for the betterment of Mughal Empire's interests. That's why he was given the title of a Raja in 1800 something around by Akbar II, guys. This point is clear. Now in the NCRTs also you will find that he was one of the first great leaders of modern India. And he is also regarded as the father of Indian Renaissance. Renaissance means the cultural awakening. The intellectual awakening. That awakening was initiated by our central figure over here is Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So let us study about his different objectives, different works related to him, and it is the most important topic too. Okay. So these are his contribution, guys. And now how you have to write it, how you have to make notes. Just Raja Ram Mohan Roy you mentioned like this, and then points related, short points you have to mention, guys, over here. Short one-liners, right? And I'll be telling you what to write, what not to write. Okay. Now, first thing which you will find in his ideology was that he was advocating the practice of monotheism, means the belief in one God. He was advocating for that because at that point of time, Hinduism was entrenched with the worship of different gods. So what he wanted to unite people on the basis of monotheism, right? And for advocating this, he wrote one book. This you have to mention, guys, in 1809. Gift to Monotheists. That means he was advocating the practice of monotheism and why it is advantageous for people to go for these monotheism. How he was countering, how he was giving arguments towards this monotheism by quoting the scriptures of this religion, of the Hindu religion itself, that is Vedas and Upanishads, guys. Now you mention one more point, that Gift to Monotheists in 1809 was written in Persian. Very important, this you must understand. It was written in Persian. So in order to make it to understand the general public, he started translating certain scriptures, and the most important scriptures which he started translating in the local language, that is Bengali, was Vedas and Upanishads to support his argument towards monotheism. I hope you must be understanding, right? Okay, now you understand that at that point of time, how was your general public? Your general public was first of all illiterate, and who was dominating over them? The priestly class, right? So they were following just what is being told, right? So how they will promote, how Raja Ram Mohan will promote these ideas amongst the people? He has to form some organization, some group. So his followers asked him to form some group named as Atmiya Sabha, initially in 1840. Founded in Calcutta to promote Vedantic monotheism, believe in the practice of one God, of abolishing the social evils like idolatry, caste rigidities, meaningless rituals. He was against. Okay, just mention this Atmiya Sabha. Okay, what his practice was based on, why, how he was saying that you should question these meaningless rituals or caste rigidities on the basis of scientific reasoning or rationalism. He was arguing that you should argue the practices based on reason. If your reason is saying is right or wrong, then you should follow it or ignore it, right? So he was using this rationalism as the concept or as the way towards these social evils, right? Okay, now you must understand that he was advocating the belief in all the religions, and we should take good things from all religions, right? And his basic principle, which you are understanding, that to purify this Hindu religion, that whatever bad elements, whatever you will find irrational elements in the Hindu religion, he just want to purify it, because Hinduism as a religion was one of the greatest religion he was advocating for. Okay, that's why his main basis was rationalism, reason, and Vedas and Upanishads. Right? Over here you will be seeing. So he wanted to incorporate some of the Christian elements too. So over here in 1820, his one more work, which he wrote as Percepts of Jesus, where he separated the moral and philosophical teachings of Jesus, which he wanted to incorporate in their own religion also, from the miraculous element, that the miraculous elements in the New Testament. Therefore, New Testament is the religious scripture of Christians. Right? Now, what he did in New Elements, there were some miraculous stories too related to Jesus, and some philosophical and moral stories too. What he did, he basically just compiled the philosophical and moral stories so that people can understand this and incorporate this in their religion, right? So Percept of Jesus, you should remember, he wanted to have this cultural synthesis where we should select the best elements from various cultures despite of being an orthodox opposition, right? And lastly, in 1828, he formed this Brahmo Sabha or Brahmo Samaj. Sabha was later changed into Samaj, right, in 1828, where he wanted to propagate these monotheistic principles and what Vedas and Upanishads were preaching. Right, over here you will see. So monotheistic worship he wanted to have, right? Also, his form of worship involved prayers, meditation, readings of from the Upanishads. He banned idolatry. Idolatry means idol worship. No images, no statues, paintings, and words. Very important, guys. In the statement form, they can ask you that were in Brahmo Samaj idol worship was happening. No, it was not happening, right? Also, his goal was to purify Hinduism of corrupt practices, preach monotheism, grounded in rationality, that is the reason, and the teachings of Vedas and Upanishads. Very important. Brahma Samaj indulged in the practice in the teachings of Vedas and Upanishads. Like this statement can come. So this statement will be right. Okay. He also wanted to incorporate good things from other religions also, which I have already told you. Now, when he formed this Brahmo Samaj, okay, to purify the Hinduism, to purify the societal evils. Over here, one orthodox elements also formed contrary towards this Brahmo Samaj. This is Brahmo Samaj. Now, to counter these ideas, one orthodox segment also formed against this Brahmo Samaj, the Dharam Sabha or Dharam Samaj. Dharam Sabha. And this Dharam Sabha was formed by Raja Radhakant Dev. These were the orthodox section. Raja Radhakant Dev. Just remember the name, guys. Okay, so over here you will be seeing one more point, that faced resistance from orthodox Hindus, particularly Raja Radhakant Dev, who formed Dharma Sabha to counter the Brahmo Samaj. Very important. Okay. Roy sought to reform Hinduism, not to create a new form of religion. This is also very important, guys. Okay. Now, features of Brahmo Samaj. In this point, you can see he denounced polytheism, idol worship, rejected belief in avatars, reincarnations. Okay. Stated that no scripture could hold ultimate authority over human reason. That means he was giving a reason primary importance. Then he was saying that then the scriptures are also holding importance, like Vedas and Upanishads. But these scriptures should not be read in separate silos. Vedas and Upanishads should be read from your critical reasoning, from your reason, right? Rational thinking. Also, he took no definitive stance on karma and transmigration of soul, leaving it to the individual belief. So also you try to see this over here. Criticize the caste system also, right? Now, this much points you have understood about the reform in the religion, guys. Next points which I am telling you, this was what he did for the women rights. Okay, he did for the women rights also. He did for the educational reform too also. You will be understanding that too. Because Raja Ram Mohan Roy touched every aspect of society, right? Every aspect he wanted to reform, he wanted to revive the good things into it, right? So right now, let us see about the works done by Raja Ram Mohan Roy for women, and the most important, the most, you will see the revolutionary work done by him, which we all remember him for, is the end of Sati Pratha. He began his anti-Sati Pratha campaign in 1818, and he basically cited various scriptures where there was no practices of Sati was happened, and the Sati practice was abhorred, right? And he emphasized that we should utilize as human reason, humanity, and compassion to end this inhumane practice. He actively organized a vigilance group, visited cremation grounds to prevent sati, and you will find that he was basically beaten up by the orthodox elements also. But he was so determined that he used to go to the cremation grounds to stop the practices which were happening over there. Finally, when William Bentinck was the Governor General, he finally listened to his arguments also, and then they were able to pass one government regulation against the sati practice that criminalized sati practice. That is 1829 government regulation. Understanding? He also fight for the he criticized the subjugation of women. Also, he condemned polygamy. There should not be polygamy and the better treatment of widows. He advocated for women's rights, including inheritance and property rights too. Right? So this you will be seeing his contribution towards the woman. His contribution towards modern education, where he wanted to integrate, does not wanted to just ignore the Western thinking or Western ideas. He wanted to integrate a Western modernity into the spiritual awakening of the Indians. Right? This he wanted to combine. So, with the help of him, David Hare founded Hindu College in 1817 in Calcutta, guys. So, you remember this. Very important for your prelim. So, David Hare plus Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his associates formed Hindu College over here. He himself founded an English school that taught modern subjects like mechanics and philosophy. So, right under education, that he also established this English school, right? He also established Vedanta College in 1825. So, first Hindu College was established, then English school, then Vedanta College in 1825, who were offering courses in both Indian and Western science. Also, he contributed to the Bengali language by compiling a grammar book and developing a modern prose. Means the way you can learn grammar easily. So he contributed towards the Bengali language, right? His other linguistic contribution was he mastered more than, he was a polyglot, right? He has command over Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic, English, and Hebrew. So his knowledge of languages broadened his intellectual base, guys. Over here, he also fight for some political programs, freedom of the press. You will be seeing political activism. He was into, like, he condemned oppressive practices of zamindars and advocated for rent regulation. This was the things which were going on parallelly, picked up by the pre-INC organizations and the INC organizations too. He demanded abolitions on taxes on tax-free landed, called for Indianization of superior services, sought judicial equality between Indians and Europeans. Right? Hey guys, over here, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was having certain associates which admired his learnings, which wanted to, like, you can see that fellows of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, like David Hare, Alexander Duff, who was very inspired by the teachings and works of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Out of this, one important personality is Devendranath Tagore. Now you understand this, guys. 1828, Raja Ram Mohan Roy formed Brahmo Samaj. Very important organization, right? Purifying Hinduism religion, also advocating for rationalism. But in 1833, Raja Ram Mohan Roy got died over here, right? After that, you will see that Brahmo Samaj will not be doing anything significant after the death of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. But one person was heavily influenced by by the Brahmo Samaj teachings, also by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and his associate was Debendranath Tagore. And Debendranath Tagore in 1940s, already inspired by the Brahmo Samaj, has formed one sabha named as Tattva Bodhani Sabha, where he used to teach about the teachings which already propagating in the Brahmo Samaj. So he was parallelly opened this Tattva Bodhini Sabha to propagate the teachings of the Brahmo Samaj over here, and he also used to write the Tattva Bodhini Patrika. So in 1842s around, you will be seeing Devendranath Tagore involved in his organization Tattva Bodhini. But later on, the leadership of Brahmo Samaj in 1840s was taken up by Debendranath Tagore only. So after 1840s, you will be seeing till 1855, you will be seeing the Debendranath Tagore period in Brahmo Samaj movement. And again, the Brahmo Samaj got revived. They worked for the same things, abolition of certain social evils and advocating for the rights of peasants too. We'll be understanding that. ठीक है, तो ये हमारे देवेंद्रनाथ टैगोर, फादर ऑफ रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर गाइस, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अब ये इन्हीं के अंदर in this Raja Ram Mohan Roy's, I am continuing it with Devendranath Tagore. Devendranath Tagore, father of Rabindranath Tagore, joined Brahmo Samaj in 1842. He revitalized Brahmo Samaj. ये सब prelims के लिए कुछ नहीं important, but you try to understand that okay, he revitalized the Brahmo Samaj again in 1840s. Right? He was already the founder of Tattva Bodhini Sabha, right over here, which he founded in 1839, which promoted rational study of India's past and the ideas of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. That means he was heavily influenced by Raja Ram Mohan Roy's principles. Also, he used to publish this Tattva Bodhini Patrika. So, I hope now next heading will be Debendranath Tagore, 1839 Tattva Bodhini Sabha, 1842 joined what? Brahmo Samaj. And again, when he joined Brahmo Samaj, he fused two organizations. So he did the informal association of Brahmo Samaj and Tattva Bodhini Samaj, right? Then this Brahmo Samaj attracted prominent leaders like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Ashwini Kumar Datta, followers of Ram Manohar Roy, and Derosians. Who are Derosians? We'll be understanding that. What was the reform movements they were doing? They were basically advocating for widow remarriage, women's education, abolition of polygamy, improvement of tenant or riots condition, promotion of temperance, means abstinence from alcohol also. So over here, during this period from 1842 to 1856, you will be seeing why 1856. I'll be telling you. You will be seeing that Debendranath Tagore contributed to the strengthening of Brahmo Samaj influence. Okay. So you have understood this. 1828, very clearly you understand this, guys. 1828, what happened? Brahmo Samaj formed by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. 1833, death. 1842 mein you will be seeing a revital of this Brahmo Samaj by Debendranath Tagore. Fusion was done by him. Then 1856, you will be seeing one very important person came into the forefront, that is Keshav Chandra Sen. I'll be showing you Keshav Chandra Sen, guys. And Keshav Chandra Sen was just 19 when he joined Brahmo Samaj of India or Brahmo Samaj under Debendranath Tagore during 1855. And in 1 year only, because of his meritorious activities, he became Acharya. Debendranath Tagore gave him the title of Acharya Keshav Chandra Sen, because his ideas were way ahead of that time period, right? So over here you will be seeing Keshav Chandra Sen. This is the image I am showing you just, right? Keshav Chandra Sen. You just see the images, nobody will ask you it in the prelims, but the more you see it, the better you will remember. So 1858, you will be seeing he's joined the Brahmo Samaj, was made leader, Acharya, later on you will be seeing. He popularized, one important contribution by him is he popularized Brahmo Samaj outside India, outside Bengal, sorry, Bengal, not India, outside Bengal also, like in the United Province, Punjab, Bombay, Madras. So he wanted to spread these branches all over India. 1860, Brahmo Samaj is spreading all over India because of the leadership of Keshav Chandra Sen. His ideas were too radical and way ahead of his times, right? Because he advocated for inter-caste marriages, which is a taboo right now too. So over here you will see strong opposition to caste system and open support for inter-caste marriages. He was saying that only way to abolish caste is to make people marry into different castes, so that they will respect each other culture, they will respect each other for humanity. He also cosmopolitized the Samaj meetings, incorporating teachings from various religions, right? These radical ideas led to a split. Why? Because Debendranath Tagore was finding his ideas hard to fit in the Brahmo Samaj. So Keshav with his followers were dismissed from the Brahmo Samaj, and already Keshav was dismissed from his position of Acharya in 1865. And then you will be seeing that he and his associates will be forming Brahmo Samaj of India in 1866. That means 1856 he joined, 1866 after 10 years later he formed one different kind of Brahmo Samaj, that is Brahmo Samaj of India. That is the fraction of Brahmo Samaj only, right? And then Devendra Nath's fraction was known as the Adi Brahmo Samaj. That means Purana Brahmo. But this split was not stopped till this only, because over then you will be seeing after 10 years later, Keshav Chandra Sen did something else. His actions were against what he was preaching. So his preaching and his actions were not matching. So people who were following him were very disappointed by the Keshav's one decision, and his decision was to marry his 13-year-old daughter to a minor Maharaja of Bihar with the orthodox Hindu rituals. This caused discontent among his leadership, also followers. So some of his followers also began viewing him as incarnation, which alienated progressive members. Right. So over here, dissatisfied followers like Anand Mohan Bose, Shiv Chandra Dev, and Umesh Chandra Datta formed Sadharana Brahmo Samaj in 1870. Understanding, guys? Sadharana Brahmo Sabha. And this Sadharana Brahmo Sabha Samaj was believing in one God, infallibility of neither scripture nor man, and the importance of reason, truth, and moral. I hope I'll repeat this again. Very important you try to understand. I'll just Brahmo Samaj got formed in 1828 by Raja Ram Mohan. Was doing the work of what? Practicing monotheism and involving intellectual, rational thinking, right? Also the reading of scriptures like Vedas and Upanishads. Over here, Brahmo Samaj, later on, the leadership 1833, what happened? Raja Ram Mohan got died. So 10 later, there was no activity, but the activity was supported in 1842, 10 years gap you will see. Devendra Nath Tagore, Brahmo Samaj was there. 10 years he ruled over, or not ruled, but you will say he basically revitalized Brahmo Samaj till 1855 or 1856. Over here, then you will see the period of Keshav Chandra Sen, KCS, till 1866. And then there will be the factions among these two. So you will see that Keshav Chandra Sen group will be forming Brahmo Samaj of India, PSI, and the older Brahmo Samaj will be known under Devendranath Tagore was Adi Brahmo Samaj. Later on, after 10 years later, you will be seeing this happened in 1866, guys. 10 years later, 1876, what you will find? Keshav Chandra Sen married his daughter with the minor son of Bihar Raja. So over here, you will be seeing some split will be happening. So again, the Brahmo Samaj of India will be factioning into Sadharana Brahmo Samaj. Right. So these three factions came into this form, which you have to remember, guys. Okay. Ultimately, the social readers which you have to remember is Keshav Chandra Sen, this Devendranath Tagore, and over here Raja Raman Roy's Brahmo Samaj. Over here you see that some of the organization founded by Keshav Chandra Sen he founded the Tabernacle of New Dispensation, also known as a Nava Vidhan, means Naya Vidhan, right? In 1868 as a new religious institution that combined elements of Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism. 1868, because he was focusing upon the cosmopolitanism, mergence of all religions. What he founded the organization as Tabernacle of New Dispensation, right? What is tabernacle? Tabernacle is nothing but a house of worship. So over here, new dispensation, new Naya Bidhan, right? Over here. And he also founded Indian Reform Association in 1870 as a secular organization that aimed to promote education, women's rights, legal reform, social welfare. Two important organizations, very important, which has already been asked in your prelims. Keep this in mind. Who founded these? Keshav Chandra Sen. But Keshav Chandra Sen is not associated with the establishment of Calcutta Unitarian Committee, because this Calcutta Unitarian Committee was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dwarkanath Tagore, and William Adam in 1823 as a platform to propagate Unitarianism and rationalism. Unitarianism means unity, that we are all one. Very important. So Raja Ram Mohan contribution, this also you highlight because this has already been mentioned in the exam. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Now you see the Pratna Samaj, right? Pratna Samaj, who were associated with Pratna Samaj? Try to understand, guys, over here. We'll be understanding this. Pratna Samaj got influenced. Pratna Samaj got formed into Bombay, in Bombay, right? And it influenced by the already going on Brahmo Samaj movement over here in Bengal. Brahmo Samaj outside India, who outside Bengal, who spread it? The Keshav Chandra Sen. He spread outside Bengal. And when he spread it in Bombay, basically he helped to form this particular organization, that is Pratma Samaj. And the founder of Pratma Samaj is known as Atmaram Pandurang, but the associated leaders with it is Dadoba Pandurang too, and M.G. Ranade is associated with this organization too. Pratna Samaj, who all are associated? These people. Over here you will see 1867 it was established with the help of Keshav Chandra Sen. Why? Because Keshav Chandra Sen was spreading Brahmo Samaj ideals in the whole India. That's why you will be seeing the Pratna Samaj will be following the principle of monotheism, worship of one God, right? They were focusing upon rationalism, right? And more than religious reforms, they were focusing upon the social reforms. Okay? Precursor organization of this particular Pratna Samaj is Paramhans Sabha. So sometimes they can ask that Paramhans Sabha was the precursor organization of which of the organization, and आपका options में देंगे. So Paramhans Sabha was the secret society which was spreading liberal ideas. And why secret? Because they don't want that any orthodox section to take action against them. ठीक है. So key leaders you will be finding Mahadev M.G. Ranade, who joined it in 1870. Seeing the Samaj, basically by his joining Samaj, this Samaj popularity began, right? And it had an all India character after the joining up of M.G. Ranade. Also R.G. Bhandarkar, N.G. Chandwarkar were associated with it. Their focus and ideology was again same, monotheism, social reforms. Okay, and they also connected with the Bhakti cult of Maharashtra too, guys, right? Their method of reform was education and persuasion, and avoiding direct confrontation with the Hindu orthodoxy. Okay, so their social reforms was caste system abolish, women education, widow remarriage, and raising age for marriage for both male and females. Try to understand this point. The notable social reformers related to this is Dhondo Keshav Karve and Vishnu Shastri over here. And together they founded the widow remarriage movement at this point too, and established widows home association to provide education and vocational training to widows for self-support. So mark these points also, guys. Now you see the most important movement, Young Bengal movement. Timeline also you try to understand, guys. देखो what is happening over here. We are talking about 1820s, 1830s. 1820s, 1830s, you will be seeing 1828, Brahmo Samaj was formed by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. 1816, you were seeing David here, with the help of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, formed Hindu college. And in this Hindu college, one particular Anglo-Indian came over here and started teaching from the age of 17. And this Anglo-Indian name was Henry Vivian Derozio. But why he got so famous? He got so famous at that point of time because during this time period, 1820s, 1830s, he started preaching, he started propagating radical ideas amongst the student. Radical ideas means completely radical ideas, which in the form of social, political, and economic domain. Right, so he got some followers which were completely rational and radical, which were again were way ahead of their times. That means they must be talking about the abolition of caste system. They must be talking about the women education and all, right? So that is how they were doing it. Let us understand. This is Henry Vivian Derozio. He died at a very early age, guys. Right over here, you will see that a radical intellectual trend that emerged among Bengal's youth during this period from 1826 to 1831 under Henry Vivian Derozio. He was a teacher at Hindu College, which was formed by David Hare with the support of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. And who was the inspiration of Derozio? French Revolution, 1789. He focused on free thinking, rationality. He focused on questioning the authority, those who were ruling at that point of time, the priestly class, and challenging established norms. He also following the path of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? And as per his own understanding, he was spreading his ideas. So he advocated for liberty, equality, and freedom. The De Rosian also supported women right, and they will be supporting it, right? Understand the time frame from here. Impact and limitation. De Rosio dismissed from the college because of his radical views. Limited success of the movement was due to the prevailing social condition was not ripe for radical ideas, lack of support from other social groups, disconnect with the masses, particularly failing to take up the peasants' cause. Right? So their radicalism remained largely intellectual or bookish without practical implementation. But what was their contribution, guys? Very important, you have to learn this. Their demand included induction of Indians into higher government services. That means they were having certain political demands too. Protection of peasants, better treatment of Indian labor, freedom of press, and trial by jury. Right, and Surendranath Banerjee later described the De Rosians as the pioneers of modern civilization in Bengal. Very important. Okay. Now, one thing you find that he must have created some organization too. So his organization name was Academic Association. Okay. This Academic Association is related to Henry Vivian de Rosio. Very important, guys, I am telling you. Now here come your another reformer. Very important. Can you guess the name? Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar ji. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. His time period was from 1820 to 1891. Again, in the same period you are seeing. Dekho, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra was his name, and Vidyasagar, he got the title as because he was having ocean of knowledge. And you will see that his formative years when he was studying, okay, when he was taking his education during 1820s, 80s, 30s. So I have told you 1820, 1830, over this time period, Young Bengal movement was going on by the Henry Vivian de Rosio, right? Also simultaneously, Brahmo Samaj was established by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. The only difference was they were completely radical, right? So at this point of time, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was studying in the Sanskrit college, guys. Because later you will find that later on he became the principal of Sanskrit college also. Also, he was attached to the ideas of these radicals. Sanskrit college was teaching them orthodox Hinduism related or Indian education, right? Whereas these Young Bengal movement, or which later on after the death of Henry Vivian de Rosio, were known as De Rosians, because the followers of these Young Bengal movement, they were having the knowledge of Western education too. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar in one way was basically connected with the Sanskrit college because he was having his education from here. And these De Rosians formed one society known as Society for Acquisition of General Knowledge. Society for Acquisition of General Knowledge. Who formed this? De Rosians. Who were De Rosians? The followers of HVD, Henry Vivian de Rosio. After his death, they formed this organization which keep on propagating the ideas of radical thinking, reasoning, rationality. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was connected to these particular group. So he became the fusion of these two ideas. So when he will become the principal of this particular college, he will bring some Western elements too, right? Which he will integrate into the traditional plus the modern learning, right? So now you will be seeing he is basically the blend of Indian and Western thought. You will be seeing that he did various social reforms, and he is principally known for his educational reform. He became principal of Sanskrit College in 1850. He opened Sanskrit College to the non-Brahmins to break the monopoly of scripture knowledge, guys. Very important. Till now over here, non-Brahmins were not, you must have seen or you must have studied also, that they were not admitted to the schools and they were not allowed to have this scriptural knowledge, Vedas. They were not allowed to read Vedas, non-Brahmins. But he opened these institutes, these colleges for them. He introduced Western thought at Sanskrit College to modernize Sanskritic learning. He developed a new methodology to teach Sanskrit and created a new Bengali primer and prose style, right? Whatever his social reforms, is the most important social reform is he advocated for widow remarriage. Not only advocated for widow remarriage, but because of his efforts, he led to the legalization through one act which has been passed in 1856. Advocating for widow remarriage is one thing, and making it legal is one another thing. So because of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, you will see over here. And also he fought against child marriage, polygamy. He championed women's education, helping organize 35 girls' schools over there, you will see. Also, he later on joined Bethune School, which was founded by J.D. Bethune, right? And he became the secretary of this Bethune School, one of the pioneers of higher education for women in India. Okay, so you have to understand this. This was about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, which you should remember, guys. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was also, this is not written anywhere, guys, so you write this down. Bengal uh, Social Service Society. Who formed this? Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar formed Bengal Social Service Society. Also, he was the secretary of a lot of school, right? Because later on he became like principal of Sanskrit College, later on secretary of Bethune College, right? Like this, you will see a lot of times his professional life was being the secretary of many schools, right? So this was about Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, and now we will see the next social reformers, guys. Over here, can you identify him? The most important social reformer of that time who worked for the upliftment of lower caste, Jyotiba Phule. Jyotiba Phule, guys. His timeline is from 1827 to 1890. Means no need to remember these things, but you are understanding that he is also existing in the same time frame from 1800 to 1900. Jyotiba Phule over here. You will see he will be. Jyotiba Phule was born in Satara, Maharashtra, to one of the low caste community, and he understood, he himself faced this caste based discrimination. So his whole life will be contributing to the upliftment of these caste barriers which he already faced, right? So he will be in the social and educational reforms. The most important foundation of his is Satya Sodhak Samaj, the Truth Seeker Society, which he founded in 1873. Understand very carefully. It was led by the members of a backward class. He aimed for social transformation and the spread of education among women also and lower caste too. And in this spreading of education among women, he was helped by his wife known as Savitri Bai Phule. उनके बारे में भी we will be understanding. So introduce the concept of Dalit means crushed for those outside the Varna system, the untouchables. Right? So he introduced this concept of Dalit. He promoted Satya Sodhak marriage ceremony as simple, inexpensive alternative to traditional ceremonies. Very important. Over here, he wrote certain books also, guys. One is Sarvajanik Satya Dharma and one is Gulamgiri. Important, very, very important. Whose work is this? Jyotiba Phule's work is this. He advocated for the abolition of caste and socio-economic inequalities too. He rejected Sanskritic Hinduism and opposed the exploitation of masses by using a religion. And he also used the symbol of Raja Bali as counter to the Brahmins of symbol of Ram. Right. Later on, he was awarded as the title of Mahatma in 1888 by Vittal Rao Krishnaji Vandekar. So he was not having this Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, right? He was having this title later on, Mahatma. Here is his wife Savitri Bai Phule. Very important, Savitri Bai Phule. This is the timeline of her. She was born again in the same community of low caste. Again, he was taught by Jyotiba at home and later took a teacher's training course. Who took this? Savitri Bai Phule, who helped her husband. Right? He co-founded schools for girls, lower caste communities in Pune, and she basically did a lot for the women's education, including the native female school and the society for promoting education of Mahars, monks, and others, the low caste communities. Right? Social reforms and activism also she did. Advocated for women's right. Started the Mahila Seva Mandal. Very important, guys. Mark this. Mahila Seva Mandal to raise awareness about women's right. Established Bal Hatya Pratibandhak Griha. Female prevent infanticides also. So she formed this group too. So very, very important about their contribution, guys, right? Next, you have the most important movement, that is Ramakrishna movement, guys. Ramakrishna movement. And the associated leader associated with this is, first of all, you will be seeing Ramakrishna Paramahans and then Swami Vivekananda. So two social reformers, social religious reformers, we are going to learn from this particular movement. Can you, which I have already told you, guess the name? Ramakrishna Paramahans. Over here, Ramakrishna Paramahans, 1836 to 86. That means similar 19th century he was existing. He was born as Gadadhar Chattopadhyay in 1836 in a poor family in Bengal itself. He worked as a priest at the Kali temple, and he was basically the worshipper of Kali Mata, Kali goddess, right, in Dakshineshwar temple near Calcutta, right. While staying as the priest of Kali temple, you will see that when he was the priest of Kali temple, he used to pray the goddess Kali, right? So one day he achieved oneness, or he was devoted so much to the worshipping of Kali Mata, Kali goddess, that one day he visualized Kali Mata himself. Right. So what he did, that particular experience which he faced, it was basically known as spiritual trances from an early age. Means spiritual trances, oneness with the god he achieved, and it's considered to have achieved the highest spiritual experience in Hinduism, right? So later on he wanted to understand other forms, other paths of attaining salvation, other paths of attaining spiritual enlightenment too. So what he did, he followed the path of Vedanta also, he followed the path of Tantra also, where tantras will help getting one salvation. So tantras also he did. So after learning everything, he understood that there is a oneness among all the religions. Means that all religions, not only Vedanta, Tantra, but other religions are also taking towards closer to you. To whom? To the God. So that's why he stated that Krishna, Hari, Ram, Christ, Allah are different names of the same God. So his philosophy was that as many faiths, so many paths. So he was saying that paths may be different, but the goal is ultimate one. That is, God is one. Right? Also, he advocated for the service to humanity as a way to serve God. Service of man is the service of God. Right over here, you will see. Though he was not a educated person, like you were seeing, like Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was educated, he got his graduation, Raja Ram Mohan Rao, Henry Vivian Derozio, but all these were different, and Ramakrishna was having a very different journey. He was not having an educational journey, but he was having the spiritual journey, right? And what he came out of that, what he gave out of that to the particular society, that service to humanity should be our mission. And then later on he formed one group named as a Ramakrishna League. Okay, Ramakrishna League. And in this league also one more important, most important person joined, that is Swami Vivekananda joined. Okay, so over here you will see when Swami Vivekananda joined the movement, and he was chosen as the leader after the death of Ramakrishna Paramahans. You will see Swami Vivekananda will lead this Ramakrishna movement and will divide the movement into two parts. One, Ramakrishna Mutt, second, Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mutt was basically propagating the ideas and the paths of Ramakrishna Paramahans, right? He was basically teaching the people how to renunciate, practice renunciate, and practical spirituality. Second group was formed was Ramakrishna Mission, and the objective of Ramakrishna Mission was to carry out preaching, philanthropic, and charitable works. Okay, over here you will see about Swami Vivekananda over here, guys. Swami Vivekananda, right? You will be seeing one of the most magnificent personality of that time. Okay, over here he was born in 1863, 1902. Narendra Nath Datta was his name, and his brother was Upendranath Datta. Upendranath Datta was indulged in the Anushasan Samiti, secret society, and in the revolutionary phase during the 1900 to 1905. Right? He became one of the disciple of Ramakrishna initially. Basically, he was in search of enlightenment. That he want to understand that who have seen God, who have seen God. He want to understand that, right? What is God basically, and who have seen that. So there are many episodes, not episodes, but the episodes of his life where he encountered different religious preachers. Ultimately, he found solace or peace under the guidance of Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna work has influenced Swami Vivekananda to the another level, that Swami Vivekananda later on became one of the head of Ramakrishna lineage. So after the Ramakrishna's death, Vivekananda found the Ramakrishna mission and Ramakrishna Mutt, right? Mutt for the preachings of to spread the preaching of Ramakrishna monotheism, or you will say that God is one. Whereas mission is for the charitable activities, right? Philanthropic activities. So you will see this. Also, Vivekananda is known for his role in bringing the teachings of Vedanta to the West, particularly through his famous iconic speech at the Parliament of the World's Religion in Chicago in 1893. Guys, in 1893, he represented our India on that particular forum. His speeches and writings have had a significant impact on modern Hindu thought, right? So he emphasized the practical spirituality, and on the same lines of Ramakrishna, that service to God is a service to humanity. So about this Vivekanand, you will know these things, guys, right? Now next is your Arya Samaj. Arya Samaj. Who is related to Arya Samaj movement? What were the objectives? Related to Arya Samaj movement, you will be seeing one of the personality, that is Dayanand Saraswati. Dayanand Saraswati. Now let us see Dayanand Saraswati. He is Swami Dayanand Saraswati. See, Dayanand Saraswati was born in Gujarat. Later he founded the Arya Samaj 1875 in Bombay. Later he moved its headquarters to Lahore. See, देखो, you understand about Dayanand Saraswati. Dayanand Saraswati was, his real name was Mool Shankar, right? Initially in his life, he suffered from the loss of his sister and his uncle, and because of that, he always wondered that what is there in life and death. Because of this yearning, because of this curious nature, he wandered. He left his home very early in his life and wandered throughout India in search of knowledge. Ultimately, he got one guru as Rajanand Dandish. This was the spiritual guru of Dayanand Saraswati, guys, or Mool Shankar basically. Under the guidance of Rajanand Dandish, Mool Shankar became Dayanand, because over here, Dayanand Saraswati, because over here he got the knowledge of scriptures, and basically the most important scriptures are Vedas. Rajanand Dandish, his guru, used to consider that Vedas was pure in its original form, but over the period of time, Vedas has been, you can say, impaired by the other elements which has been added in the Vedas. So basically, Rajanand Dandi's vision was to purify Vedas. And who took this task? Dayanand Saraswati took this task to purify Hindu religion. How? By basically going back to Vedas, basically purifying Vedas. According to him, under Vedas, these things have been added later on. Upanishads, Aryankas, Brahmanas, these things were added later on in Vedas. So cumulatively, they are the part of Vedas. But Dayanand Saraswati and his followers considered that Vedas only constitutes the four Veda, not Upanishads, not Aryanka, not Brahmans, not Vedantic philosophy. These are separate paths. So those people who believe in Vedas only are the true Hindus, or are basically Arya. And those who believe in these parts also, that Upanishads, Aryankas, Brahmanas, Vedas are also the part of Vedas, then these people are basically Sanatanis. So he drew distinction. That's why he focused on the purification of Hinduism religion, that Hindu religion was glorious in the ancient time just because of the learnings of Vedas only. That's why he gave the slogan as "Go back to Vedas." Over here you will find. Okay? And his key work was Satyarth Prakash, the true exposition. He advocated for casteless society, as he was a social reformer. That means he must be advocating for this. He promoted unified India and India free from foreign rule. He called for a return to the Vedas, right, accepted modernity while maintaining a patriotic attitude towards national issues. Okay. Over here in his teachings, you will find he rejected the Hindu belief in Maya and the pursuit of moksha through escape from the world, advocated that God, soul, matter are distinct and eternal entities. Okay. He emphasized individual effort in achieving salvation based on the theory of karma and reincarnations. About the social reforms he did, he attacked on Hindu orthodoxy, caste rigidity, untouchability, idolatry, same as the other social reformers. You don't have to see it in like nothing separately, you have to see, right? Supported the Vedic idea of Chaturvarna based on merit and occupation, not birth. Set the minimum marriageable age at 25 years for boys and 16 years for girls. And his 10 guiding principles of the Arya Samaj was that God is the, first of all, he talk about God. Then he talk about the dharam, what should one do, right? You don't have to remember all of this, but just go through once. You will understand it. Okay? What are the social ideals of Arya Samaj? Belief in the fatherhood of God, brotherhood of man, equality of sexes, intercaste marriages and widow remarriages, social services, promoted education. So all these things happened. But his own contribution towards the education was the foundation of these DAV colleges, guys, which you must be hearing, right? 1886 in Lahore, he formed a DAV college. So this is one key point which you have to remember about Dayanand Saraswati. Okay, Dayanand Anglo Vedic colleges 1886, which you will see today several branches of these colleges, right? 1886 it was found. Dayanand met other reformers during his time period, you will see. Also, a split occurred in 1893 between the college party, Lala Hansraj, Lala Chand, Lala Lajpat Rai, and the Mahatma Gurukul party, Gurudutt, Lala Munshi Ram. College party supported government curriculum and English education, this college party. Whereas Mahatma party, Gurukul parties favored Sanskrit, Vedic philosophy and vegetarianism. So this Mahatma party formed or established in Haridwar. Today also you will find this college, Gurukul Kangdi near Haridwar, guys. Right, very old school. So Gurukul Kangdi provided indigenous education alternative, focusing on Vedic literature, Indian philosophy, Indian culture, modern sciences and research. And they founded also Kanya Mahavidyalaya and supported widow education too. Okay. Then there were social and religious movements too, guys. One of the controversial aspect of Dayanand Saraswati was he initiated this Suddhi movement, which was aimed at to reconvert Hindus who had converted to Christianity or Islam at that point of time. Okay. It led to increasing communalization of social life and communal political consciousness during 1920s. The Arya Samaj instilled self-respect and confidence in Hindus to challenge Western superiority myths, right? Because at that point of time, Christians or the Britishers were imposing their Western values by assuming that these Western values are superior than the Indian values, right? They were undermining, discriminating us. That was the time when these social reformers provided sense of pride in our religion and religious philosophy, right? Hey guys, so this was about the Arya Samaj and Dayanand Saraswati. Let us move forward and let us see the social reform movements in the South. Now let us learn about the personality. This personality, guys. Who can you guess this? Your Shri Guru Narayana Swami, right? Shri Guru Narayana Swami. Shri Narayana Guru Swami also. And he led one movement during this time period known as SNDP movement, Shri Narayana Guru Dharam Paripalana movement. Basically, he started one movement where they go at that point of time period in southern India, Brahmins were having the supreme power. Okay, and the low caste peoples were completely oppressed by the upper caste people. So this low caste people was organized, mobilized by different leaders. And the starting of this movement was done by Sri Narayana Guru by forming this movement, right? So he engaged Iswas of Kerala. Yeah, and their objective, his community was including Iswas of Kerala, who was basically backward caste involving in toddy tapping. Okay. Uh, Over here, you will be seeing that these were considered untouchables, right? So he wanted to address the discrimination and uplift the Iswa community. So one incident happened in 1888 He basically installed Shivling at Aruvirpuram, demonstrating that idol consecration was not exclusive to higher priests. That higher caste people can not only consecrate the idols, means murti. Also, lower caste people can also do the same, right? So he addressed that. After that, he formed this NSDP, Sri Narayana Guru Dharam Paripalan Yogam, established in 1903. Okay? And this particular general secretary was Kumaran Asan. He is important, right? So what were the goals? What was the principles of objective of this SNDP program, guys? The goal was religious equality, believe that all religions are same and opposed animal sacrifice, caste-based division mass. Inscription over here was devoid of dividing walls of caste or race or hatred of a rival faith. We all live here in brotherhood. This was inscribed on Aruvipuram temple wall. Okay, over here urged Iswas to abandon toddy tapping. It is a type of drug, guys. Okay, and liquor consumption over here, you will see. They also address education, employment, public access, political representation. Now, these points are very, very common. So, in prelims, they will not be asking you about this, right? They will be asking you about these people. Kumar Asan, Narayana Guru, Dr. Palpu was basically associated with what this particular program, right? Or this particular movement. Now, against this Brahmanical supremacy, there was different movement launched by different leaders, like self-respect movement. You remember E.V. Ramaswamy Naikarji. Okay, you remember this? He launched the self-respect movement. He rejected Brahmanical religion and culture, which Naikar viewed as exploitative. He formalized weddings without a Brahmana priest, right? So you will see over here, temple entry movement also understand. These early efforts were done by Sri Narayana Guru and N. Kumaran Asan. Later on, again temple entry movement was revitalized by vacuum satyagraha movement, and vacuum satyagraha was done by KP Kesava in 1924. What was the objective? Open Hindu temples and roads to untouchables. Okay, because in some of the temples the roads were different. For example, this is temple, one is for common people, upper high caste people, one is for the untouchables. So this should be abolished. Some of the temples were not allowed for the untouchables, so this should be abolished. They were fighting for this, right? You will see this Vokalika Sangh was also found in 1905. Okay, that was also anti-Brahmin movement. Then there was one justice movement started by C.N. Mudalar, T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. Very, very important. These names are important. Again, what was the objective? Objective was for the upliftment of non-Brahmins, to secure jobs and representation for non-Brahmins, guys. Okay. They were also important in formation of Madras Presidency Association, demanding separate representation for lower caste in the legislature. Very important, I am saying, for prelims, C.N. Madulla, T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. Okay, now you see the movement in the Muslim religion, Muslim religious reforms. Yeah, Islam may be reforms. You will be seeing certain developments taken place by certain social reformers who wanted to purify, who wanted to revive or improve the shortcomings in Islam too, right? So one of the most important movement you will see over here, which started near about 1857, afterward 1857, Wahhabi movement, very important Wahhabi movement. He was the leader associated with him, with it, basically Wahhabi movement, or it is also known as Waliullah movement. Who was the influencer of these movement? These movement was influenced by Abdul Wahab, first of all, and the preachings of Shah Waliullah. Okay. In India, it was basically Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi, which I'll be telling you. Objective: revival, response to Western influences and degeneration among Indian Muslims. Call for a return to the true spirit of Islam. So they also, when Western was getting influence, when British East India Company was basically forcing their Western values, Western norms, in Hinduism also certain leader emerged, in Muslims also certain movement emerged over here too, right? So over here you will find that how they will be integrating the best elements of the four schools of Muslim jurisprudence, right? They were aimed to reconcile different interpretation and practices. Now you don't need to go in detail of what is Muslim jurisprudence, because religion based question doesn't come in UPSC. But you have to understand that the key figure related to over here is Sayyid Ahmad Bareilly. He added a political dimension and called for a return to pure Islam and a society like that of Prophet's time. He wanted to eliminate un-Islamic practices that had crept into Muslim society because of modernism. So kind of एक orthodox type of thinking आप यहाँ पर देख सकते हो इनका, ठीक है. They wanted to convert India from Darul Harab to Darul Islam, land of non-believers to land of Islam. They initially focused on Sikhs in Punjab, but later shifted focus to opposing British rule after annexation of Punjab. That's why you will see 1857 afterwards, British cracked down this Wahhabi movement because they used to see these Muslims as against anti-Britishers. Right? So in 1857, they played a significant role in spreading anti-British sentiments. But later on, this movement lost momentum and was suppressed by military forces during 1870s. Then there were certain other leaders like Titu Mir Haji Shariatullah. Like Titu Mir over here, you will be seeing, he will be the disciple of Sayyid Ahmad Bareilly. Okay, and he was the adherent of Wahhabism too. He advocated for the Sharia law, organized Muslim peasants of Bengal against Hindu landlords and British indigo planters. His activities were basically militant in nature or non-violent, violent in nature, right? That's why you will see later on he was basically confronted by British police. Okay, over here. That's why he was killed in 1831. Later on, you will be seeing Faraizi movement. One Faraizi movement was started by Haji Shariatullah. This leaders are important guys. Okay? Their objective was to eradicate social innovations and un-Islamic practices, and they emphasized on the Islamic duties over here. Okay? This leadership taken up over here in Faraizi movement was Dadu Mian, who was the Haji Shariatullah's son later on. This took over in 1840 and made it a bit revolutionary. Means he picked up armed against the against the oppressors that are Britishers. He created an organizational system with Khalifa at each level, formed a paramilitary force armed with clubs, established its own law courts, encouraged non-payment of rent. Right, later on, Dadu Mian was arrested several times. You will be seeing became a purely religious movement after the Dadu Mian's death. Like, right, but in during the Dadu Mian's time period, he was basically doing all such activities. So Dadu Mian is associated with Faraizi movement. Okay. Then you will come the most important movement at this time of point for the Muslim revivalism religion was Aligarh movement. Aligarh movement, the leader associated with him is Sayyid Ahmad Khan. Sir is also given title given to him by the Britishers. Sayyid Ahmad Khan. Over here, he is Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, you will be seeing that will be advocating for the improvement in the Islamic practice or Islam religion, right? He wanted to get education in the Muslim community too. He understood that Muslims are not that much educated as compared to the Hindu population. That's why the concentration, that's why the percentage of Muslims being in the jobs, being in the colleges, government colleges, are less as compared to the Hindu counterparts. So he let his people focus upon education more than the political activities. He was saying that take the benefit of Britishers, that they are giving us facilities, they are giving us some concessions to get ahead, right? So over here you will be seeing that Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan was born into a respectable rich family over here. He served as a loyal member of the British Judicial Service too. He was a learned person. He retired in 1876 and joined the Imperial Legislative Council in 1878. And he was awarded a knighthood in 1888. Right? He wanted to reconcile Western scientific education with Quranic teachings. That he wanted to just purify the Quran, remove the elements which are now obsolete, which are now practical in the present world, and wanted to integrate the Western scientific education. Right? He advocated for adapting religion with time and critical thought. He emphasized rationalism, science while respecting the Quran. That means he is preaching in the same tone of the other reformers in the Hinduism. Also, you have seen Raja Ram Mohan Roy and other people, right? So over here you will be seeing one important contribution of him was he founded one college, that is Mohammedan Anglo Oriental College, later known as AMU, Aligarh Muslim University, in 1870. A lot of colleges have been formed, guys. Who formed this DAV colleges? Who formed Hindu college? Who formed this Vedanta college? Right? You just remember all these things. You never know that how these things will come in the examination. Now he worked to improve women position over here, supported easy divorce, promoted the unity of religions, common interest, right? Condemned peer murid system, means disciple and teacher system. Okay. Political instance is very important, guys. His initial focus was on education and employment rather than immediate political activity. He opposed Muslim political participation to avoid government hostility towards Muslims. He criticized for being used in the British policy of divide and rule. And he used to propagate his ideas through Tahbdeed ul Akhlaq, improvement of manners and morals. Right. So over here, he basically Aligarh movement. You will be seeing same spread of modern education among Muslims. Over here, he introduced this Aligarh movement. Guys. Okay, so some of the movements of Muslim religious movement you have seen over here. Aligarh movement, Tito Mir's movement, Farazi movement, and Wahhabi movement. Then you see these reformers, and these reformers wanted to do the reforms in the Parsi culture, Parsi religion, right? So you will be seeing over here the Rehnumai Mazdasan Sabha, Parsi reform movement. नरोजी फाउंडर कौन थे? नरोजी फरदौंसी, दादा भाई नरोजी, के आर कामा, एस एस बंगाली, फाउंडेड इन 1851, guys. Regenerate the social conditions of Parsis, restore Zoroastrian religion to its original purity. Okay, that's why we are studying it as socio-religious reform. In some of the people focused on the religious reform too. Okay, religious reform, that Parsi religious rituals and practices, redefined Parsi creed. Okay, over here in social reforms, uplifted the status of Parsi women, removed the Parsa system, raised the age of marriage, promoted education for women. They also used to spread the message through their newspaper, Rasht Guftar, very important newspaper of Parsis, Rasht Guftar. Okay. In Sikhism, also you will see the Sikh reform movement in the form of Singh Sabha movement, where they focused on modern education, counter missionary activities. Right? They rejected practices contrary to Sikh teachings, reinforced Sikh rights and customs in line with Guru's teachings. This happened in Amritsar in 1873. One of the most important movement to basically reform the Gurudwaras was Akali movement. This Akali movement objective was to liberate Sikh Gurudwaras from the control of corrupt Udasi Mahants, who had made the position hereditary and were loyal to the government. Right? Their actions was Satyagraha, launching non-violent resistance against the corrupt Mahants in 1921. Legislation. The British government passed the Sikh Gurudwara Act in 1922, granting control of Gurudwaras to Sikh masses through the Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee. And till today, you will see that the Gurudwaras are controlled by SGPC's own. Okay? So there are many movements which are written in your spectrum. Just read them out, and leaders are associated. Not every time they are asking questions from here. Now, certain organizations which are basically related to the women reformers are like Sarla Devi Chaudharani. Just remember that she is related to Bharat Stree Mahamandal in 1910. Promotion of women's only. Women's upliftment they will want. Okay. Ladies Social Conference, Ramabai Ranade. Very important, guys. Bharat Mahila Parishad. As it is, they can ask you. Arya Mahila Samaj, Pandita Ramabai Saraswati. Ramabai Ranade is different. Pandita Ramabai Saraswati is different. National Council of Women in India. Responsible Mehribai Tata. Okay. Just read them out. They will be talking about the upliftment of women over here. One is your All India Women's Conference, AIWC 1927. Margaret Cousins is related to that. Now you see Theosophical Society. Last particular one social reform organization you understand. Here this is the symbol. What is Theosophy? Theosophy means the God's wisdom, right? If superstition and accretions are removed, Theosophy is the wisdom underlying all faiths. Okay. Over here, first of all, you understand that Theosophical Society was formed in 1875 in United States of America. By whom? By a Russian lady, Madam H.P. Blavatsky, and a former English army officer, Colonel H.S. Olcott. They also saw India as a suitable. Now their job in under Theosophical Society, they used to study different world religions. That's why they used to make certain branches. So they made one Indian branch too. So they saw India as a suitable location for Theosophical movements. In 1886, the Theosophical Society of India was founded near Adyar, Madras, right? And who popularized this movement in India? Mrs. Annie Besant, right? Over here, you will see Theosophical Indian section of Theosophical Society is a component part of Theosophical Society, which was formed in 1875. But in India, it was formed in 1905, right? And headquarters were at Adyar, Madras, India. The Indian section of the Theosophical Society was chartered November 1890 and came into effect from 1891. So you will see that Annie Besant popularized the movement in India. The Theosophical Society accomplished much in the field of education, you will see. The Theosophical Society advocated for a comparative study of all Oriental religions, but it regarded ancient Hinduism as the world's most profoundly spiritual religion. So Theosophy adhered to Hinduism's spiritual philosophy, including the doctrines of karma and soul transmigration. Alright. It advocated for universal brotherhood. The society sought to inquire into the unexplained laws of nature as well as the powers dormant in man. Okay, so these all philosophies was basically the objective of Theosophical Society of India. So Annie Besant became one of the profound followers of this Theosophical Society of India. She visited India. She basically was a firm believer in Vedas and Upanishads too. She was a vocal opponent of the prevalent evils. Annie Besant later championed the cause of Theosophy in India. She was well versed in Indian thought and culture, you will see. It became a Hindu revival movement under her leadership. In 1898, Besant established the Central Hindu College in Banaras. Over here, very important point for prelims, guys. 1898, the Banaras Hindu University, which is now BHU, right, known as BHU, right, it was established by Annie Besant, where she also got politically active later on during the 1900s onwards, right. So you will see that in 1960, the college served as the foundation for the establishment of Banaras Hindu University. She made significant contribution to the cause of female education also, and politically she was active in the Home Rule League movement, which we have studied separately. Right. So this was one movement which was very important too. Okay. So in this particular lecture, we have tried to see lot many reforms. Okay, lot many reformers, organization, and leaders associated with that. My last tip for you all is don't focus much upon the objectives, rather focus upon the organization, their leaders, and their contribution. Just it. That's it. Most of the points you will find same. Okay. In a means we will be seeing the objectives. What were the objective? What is the significance? What is the positive? What is the negative? That is important from the point of view of means. Right. So this was I tried to cover. Just go through the PPT, guys. Okay. Just go through the PPT once and you will understand more about it. Okay guys, so that will be all for this lecture. I'll be meeting you with a new topic in the next class. Thank you so much.